Hey guys, it's Pilot Tales, and I'm here with a review. I know what you're thinking. Oh, it's been a long time since Pilot Tales made a review. But enough of that. This is the Excalibur Sonic by Jazwares, 5-inch scale, very recent, founded in a local Forbidden Planet. So I'm gonna take a look at it, detailed look, sculpt, articulation, accessories, pros and cons, all that stuff. As with any figure of the titular character, can this figure stand? We will find out now. But before that, we must look at this figure. Allow me to focus it for a few seconds. Yeah, that seems about right. And as you can see, the metallic paint does this figure justice, and the quills are rendered wonderfully, as is the rest of the armor, which we will be seeing. Ear stuff. Jewel is great. The bolts on the quills and the ear. His face is also great. His nose could be a little smaller, but I'm not nitpicking. His arm is great. Sculpted well. Great open hand. Can hold stuff maybe. We'll see. And the other arm, which is sculpted to hold the sword, is great. We've seen this kind of gauntlet sculpting before on the older 5-inch Black Knight figure. The legs are great, as is the cape, and it's also bendy. This figure overall is quite rubbery. There's his tail. And we've got feet. On the soles of his feet, or high heels as I shall call them, we have some barcode stuff and product info and whatnot and stuff. And that's it for my look over of this figure's sculpt. And I think it's quite amazing. I have two more things to talk about, first of which is the Excalibur Sword. It's the super form of Caliburn, obviously, from the Black Knight game. And this time around the sword's actually solid, and it's only bendy at this portion, this rubbery portion. And it apparently glows in the dark, don't know about that. And the visor, I want to call it the visor, but I know there's like a better name for it. But it articulates at that one joint, and it opens, and we will see whether that is of any use later on. Alright, and now we have come to the meat of this review, the articulation. Starting with the head, Sonic's head articulates like any old Jazwares figure. And this time around they've actually used some kind of ratcheting joints. The structure is similar to, I don't know if anyone's seen these or if any of the viewers have known about these, but the Nendoroids. And it retains most standard Jazwares articulation, having the elbow and shoulder joints be very similar. So basically all of these joints are ratcheted so they stay put, which is good for the sword holding arm at least, but it does limit the range of the posability. I mean, the posability is already low due to the armor, and I don't know why I'm not naming all the points of articulation like any standard reviewer should, but who cares? And then there's some ankle action. But wait, before we move on, there are some notes I have to include. Most of the limbs on this figure, to avoid breaking them, are actually removable. The wrist is removable and there's a peg and it goes back on. This is like some figure arts Tamashii level kind of thing, but it shows Jazwares is learning that their figures do break and they are finding ways around it, which is pretty interesting if you ask me, and I think it's an achievement on their part. I mean, it does take a hell of a lot of pressure to get some of the joints back in, but most if not all the limbs on this figure are removable. That does include the head. And that leads me to another thing. At the small cost of almost breaking your figure, you can discover the hidden DLC that within this figure that is ball joint ankles. This is the first time Jazwares has ever done this, and over video call actually, me and my buddy Lifeline the Hedgehog, don't know if you've known him, we actually discovered these DLC joints, and they're the one reason that Sonic can, actually stand, which is an issue. Right out of the box, the paint causes some of the joints to stick, and this is why you won't find these DLC joints. Moving on, let's talk accessories. Here we've got the visor. You know, the visor we talked about before with the sculpt and whatever. Yeah, it's pretty nice. Pretty nice. And to put it on, there are two circle-shaped slots in the sides of Sonic's head, which you just attach them to. And just like that, let me fix that focus. You've got Excalibur Sonic looking completely Excalibur Sonic-like, and you can't see the eyes through. However, the visor doesn't go on exactly correct, and it leaves the side of his face open. And now for the other accessory, Excalibur. Yup, solid sword like we said before. And it does take a lot of effort to slot into his hand because his hand isn't exactly made to grip the sword correctly unless it's in a specific position, which can be annoying after a while, as you can see. Wait, I got it. And now that that's over, let's talk pros and cons. On the pros side, this is one of the best looking and most posable Jazwares figures yet, and you can really get some great poses out of him, I'm not gonna lie. But on the cons side, when you open this visor, that is just not good at all. Like, Sonic's eyes don't even show through, and that's really unfortunate, and I wish the visor fitted better, but hey. Now we can compare to some previous 5-inch figures. We've got the Generations line, not the Generations line, Sonic Through Time 5-inch Sonic with the new, much better sculpt. And then we've got old, crappy Black Knight Sonic, which everyone thought was so accurate to Sonic at the time. And right here, you can see that they both have the swords, yep. And Excalibur is much bigger than Calibur, and I mean, you probably won't be able to see that. And the gauntlet, you can see where they got the well-sculpted stuff from. I'm going to remove the visor for a second, so we can see that. We can see Sonic's pretty face. I mean, as soon as I get it off, it is a bastard to take off. But anyway, there's Sonic's face, and it actually looks quite similar in sculpt to the Black Knight Sonic's face, although they fixed the eyes and the nose, more or less. The face had to be adjusted. And that's all for my review, guys, and this is Pilot Tales signing off.